Well, of course, we are well on our way to the Super Bowl, right? But before we get to New Orleans, the NFL community always makes a stop at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. And in what's become an annual tradition here at NFL Network, we get to have the Move the Sticks Reese's Senior Bowl roster reveal show. We're excited to kick that off here for you today. I am Rhett Lewis, here, of course, with the stars of this show, our former NFL scouts, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and it is our great pleasure once again to welcome the Executive Director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, back here with us. Fellas, great to be here with you guys. I mean, this really kicks off draft season as we get to know these players that are be coming down to Mobile. And for you, Jim, I know a point of pride to kind of see all these names really come together after a calendar year's worth of work to get all this settled in, man. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, a lot of hard work by a lot of people. Rhett, our staff did a great job this year. I think the thing I'm most excited about is the buy-in that we got from the junior class this year. You know, last year the league didn't announce that juniors could be eligible until early November, and we just didn't get the traction with those guys last year quite as much. You know, we had the 10 first-round picks last year. All of them were seniors. So to get guys, you know, if we just stay at the defensive line position, to get guys like Walter Nolan at Ole Miss and Deion Walker from Kentucky and Shamar Stewart and Nick Scarton from Texas A&M. Just really, really good buy-in from the junior class. And obviously that helps out the entire roster.
Yeah, no question. And just a quick thought, DJ, Bucky, from you guys here on what that means for you guys from a scouting perspective here moving forward.
Yeah, Buck, I think it's already been the best week of the season, and now that we have more of these juniors incorporated in it, it's just more good on good. It's one-on-ones. It's what we love about scouting. It's why it's one of our favorite weeks.
Yeah, it's an outstanding week. It's an outstanding opportunity. Having played in the Senior Bowl back in 1994, I understand the pressure and the opportunity that comes with playing in the game. To see more players, more top players being able to compete against one another, it is everything that you look for as an evaluator.
Bucky Brooks turning that Senior Bowl into a second-round pick by the Buffalo Bills right there. Love having our Senior Bowl alum back with us. All right, let's get into what the week is going to look like down in Mobile. Can't wait to get down there this year with our crew. We have a jam-packed week for you, as we always do. January 28th through the 30th, the meat of the practice week. You're going to see it all right here on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus starting at 3 p.m. with the national team practice. That'll be followed immediately by the American team practice at 5. The insiders will give us all that they've gathered throughout the day at 7. And then you get the Senior Bowl recap show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday's recap show will come after our airing of the Shrine Bowl. And then when we get to game day, how about NFL game day kickoff gets you rolling at 2 p.m. Set the stage for what we're going to see at 2:30 Eastern Time, the 76th Reese's Senior Bowl with the national team versus the American team. And without further ado, let's get to the roster reveal. We'll start with the quarterbacks. Jackson Dart headlining another group of highly talented signal callers descending on Mobile once again. Dart transferred into Ole Miss and has left his mark on the record books in Oxford, passing Eli Manning to become the school's passing yardage and total yardage career leader, and just threw 4 touchdowns in the Rebs Gator Bowl win over Duke. And it's our great pleasure to welcome Jackson Dart right here to the Reese's Senior Bowl roster reveal show. Jackson, thanks so much for being a part of the show here today. Congrats on getting the invite and getting this opportunity to go down to Mobile and showcase your skills, man. Hey, look, you know, you've talked a lot about the special relationship that you formed with Lane Kiffin. You talked about him, how he's not just a coach that you admire and are inspired by, but one of your best friends too. Can you give us a little bit more detail into what Lane Kiffin has meant for your career as you move forward to this next level?
Yeah, obviously, me and Coach Kiff have just grown our relationship from the minute that I got there, and having 3 years with him, obviously we've just formed like a super special bond from a head coach to a quarterback, and I think that stems all the way from being on the field to just competing in a pickleball game against each other. But yeah, he's been great for me, great for my development, and really excited for the future of this, and super grateful for him.
Jackson, I appreciate you taking time away from your throwing workouts down there in Orange County to join the show. Obviously, Ole Miss, man, there's a ton of scout traffic through Oxford in the fall. But the difference in Mobile is there's going to be all the guys making the picks in April down here. The head coach is the GM. So What do you want to prove to those guys that maybe haven't seen you yet?
Yeah, I'm really just excited to get the opportunity to compete. There's a lot of great players there. And, I feel very confident in myself and how I stack up against everybody. And, I'm just really looking forward to the opportunity for everybody to just see, what I'm about, from a leadership standpoint to how I play the game, how the ball comes off my hand. I've been working hard out here in California and just the little things I need to improve on. And really just excited to put it fully on display.
Jackson, I want to go back to your time at Ole Miss and the relationship with Lane Kiffin. You talked about how special he is to you, but what are some of the things that you learned from him that can directly help you play well this week when it's really a big opportunity for you to show and prove in front of NFL scouts?
Yeah, I think people kind of underestimate. I think there's like a weird stigma around, Ole Miss quarterbacks, just not being, super smart, having a lot of experience playing in different, systems and whatnot. And I think that Coach Kiffin has done a great job in implementing so many different schemes into his offense. I feel like I've kind of done it all. And, I'm really excited to just, show the development and the growth that he's really, pushed me into. And, I think I'm a really smart football player, and I can draw it up. I can do whatever you need. So I'm really just excited to show my knowledge of all the things that I've been taught.
Jackson, you've had a lot of experience, started a lot of games, over 1,300 pass attempts. There's a lot of great moments that come with that. But one of the things we've learned over the years in doing this is that the guys that are successful at the next level, they've had adversity, but they've found a way to handle it, learn from it, and move on. What would you say is the biggest hardship you faced during your career, and how did you work your way through it to get to the other side?
Yeah, I think it really just stems back from my first year in college. Being an 18-year-old kid, being the starting quarterback at USC, and then, having coaches, having my head coach being fired in week 2 of my senior year or my freshman year. And then, new coaching staff coming in, bringing in their own guys and having to, unexpectedly, leave and start somewhere new. I think that was an adverse situation for me of trying to just overcome, different things. And I figured out really quickly how much movement there is in the football space. And, it obviously wasn't easy moving, all the way to Mississippi from, where I'm from in the West Coast and being away from family. But I think it's been a wonderful experience for me, and I feel like I've found the better end of it.
Well, Jackson, we look forward to seeing you down in Mobile in the practice week and in the game as well, and look forward to seeing what this opportunity does for you as you look to make this jump to the NFL. Thanks again for giving us a few minutes.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. Look forward to it.
All right, Jackson Dart. They're heading down to Mobile. Now we'll look at the quarterbacks that'll be joining Jackson here as we get you the full list as it stands now. The quarterbacks who will face off in the national title game will see their next action in Mobile. Will Howard has shined in the college football playoff for Ohio State on one side, and for Notre Dame, the local favorite, Alabama's finest, Riley Leonard, will be there on the other side as well. And let's kick this thing off here, Jim, with a quarterback that you are, another one of these quarterbacks that you are excited to see shine.
Yeah, the Heisman finalist, Dylan Gabriel. So back-to-back years, we had Bo Nix in the game last year from Oregon. So excited to get Dylan down here. A guy that, a year ago, there was a lot of snark out there, a lot of snarkiness about how old Bo Nix was and how many starts he had. Well, look what it's doing right now, all the starts they're doing for him in the NFL. And Dylan Gabriel just broke his starts record in college football with 63 career starts he's coming into the NFL with. So, rhythm passer, really accurate. And he's been in 3 different locker rooms in 3 different parts of the country, guys. We're talking UCF, Oklahoma, and now out in Eugene, Oregon. So that's big from like the leadership standpoint. He's been around a lot of different kinds of guys and been highly successful. So really excited to get Dylan down here. Hopefully it's the same type of week that Bo Nix did a year ago.
And Jim, it's interesting the way you described him. You talk about somebody who's been at multiple schools, but who's elevated the group around him. Riley Leonard, I could say the same thing for. He made Duke relevant and the job he did there. Then he goes over to Notre Dame, and as you mentioned, they find themselves in the national championship game. I feel confident once we get to game day, he's gonna wow people with what he can do running the football and the athleticism. You see that on the field each and every week at Notre Dame. The practice week for him, I think, is as big as anybody in the entire game. Can he consistently stack days as a passer? He's got a lot to gain there in Mobile. I can't wait to see him.
You know, DJ, it's funny you talk about Riley Leonard and what he has to offer as a runner, but also needing to work on things as a passer. The same could be said for Jalen Milroe. We have seen Jalen dominate games as a dual threat playmaker at Alabama. He's a rugged player, a guy who can really overwhelm defenses with his physicality and toughness as a runner, but he also has to show a level of consistency as a passer. He's done it at times, but we want to see a track record of him being able to string together completions. The week in Mobile will be big for him in his draft status.
As I mentioned, Will Howard has had a fantastic college football playoff. I love his mindset. I love his competitiveness. I love his desire to get better. One of the big reasons why he went to Ohio State, wanted to be coached by Ryan Day, to be coached by Chip Kelly, and with a full year under their tutelage, he feels like he has become a completely different player. So excited to see him showcase those skills down in Mobile as he has on the national stage these last couple of weeks. Okay, so the quarterback's always a big priority as we judge these guys that are out there on the field, but we're also going to get a look at some of the running backs who are down in Mobile this year. We're going to take a look at some of the guys that Jim has assembled, he and his terrific scouting staff that has had the opportunity to watch these guys on tape. Well, you know Donovan Edwards, right? He was on the cover of the new EA Sports College football video game, and now he is in the game for the Senior Bowl. A couple of touchdowns, as you might remember, in Michigan's national championship victory, up and down 24, but with talent to wow evaluators in Mobile. One of the faces of Lance Leipold's Kansas rebuild will be among the running back group as well. Devin Neal, now Kansas's all-time leading rusher, both in yards and touchdowns, will put his production to the test for NFL teams. Jim, what you got here in this running back group?
I'll start with R.J. Harvey at UCF. Kick us off with him. I think right now he's the number one rated senior running back on a lot of teams' boards right now. Probably with Travion Henderson from Ohio State, but this guy made a nice jump this year, and we're seeing it right now. Some of the things he can do in the passing game. This guy's a true weapon on third down. He's that change of pace back with a really dynamic ability. Averaged almost 7 yards a carry this year, 1,500 yards, 22 touchdowns. He's just dynamic, and we're seeing it here in all these clips right now. But he can make people miss. He's got home run speed. He's really a guy right now that everyone in the league a buzz started with this guy probably in late September, early October, and he's just a true big play threat.
You know, you talk about big play threats, Jim. The guy that got my eye on is the Oklahoma State standout, Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon in 2023 was a cast me out, had over 1,700 yards. He's a guy who has proven that he can do things, special things, as a runner and receiver. I kind of want to see him remind everybody of his greatness and his potential. This is a big opportunity for him down at the Senior Bowl.
And Buck, I'm looking at Woody Marks as someone at SC who can really, really catch the ball out of the backfield. I think if you watch the playoff game the other night, or if you've watched Tampa Bay Bucks this year, I think America would all agree that Bucky Irving has been the world's second favorite Bucky. And I think you're trying to find the next Bucky Irving. I think Woody Marks can fill that type of a role. Really, really quick, elusive, and can catch the heck out of the football.
Yeah, and he'll know how to run counter after playing for Lane Kiffin this last year with USC. I mentioned Donovan Edwards talking about these running backs, but it was really his teammate Khalil Mullings that stole the show at running back for the Michigan Wolverines this year. Goes from linebacker to lead back, right? Sharon Moore, their head coach, said he can run you over. He's done just about everything for us. Great pass protector. He's been incredible in the locker room and also had some explosive this year, taking his game to the next level. Can't wait to see his physicality on display down in Mobile. So we're just getting started here with the reveals. Quarterbacks, running backs are now in the books, but we've got wide receivers on the way for you. Do we have another Ladd McConkey going down to Mobile this year? Somebody who can steal the show in those one-on-ones that we love for you. We'll highlight this wide receiver group when we come back. Certainly a team game, but boy, in the practice opportunities down at the Senior Bowl, individuals get a chance to shine, and few did that brighter than Ladd McConkey at last year's Senior Bowl. I mean, some of the routes and some of the break points, I think the defensive backs are still trying to wipe those nightmares out of their brains after what Ladd put on tape, turned that into a second-round pick from the LA Chargers in a phenomenal rookie year, which he had over 1,100 receiving yards. Let's take a look at the receivers going down to Mobile this year. How about a 10-touchdown season at Illinois this season for Pat Bryant. Put his name at the forefront of the Big Ten wide receiver conversation, was voted a captain for the first time, and makes sense when you hear him say, I just want to be remembered as a tough, smart, dependable player who makes things happen when my team needs. Back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons for Miami's Xavier Restrepo, and while he wasn't the most highly recruited receiver to hit the Hurricane scene, he is now the career leader in receiving yards, passing Santana Moss this season. So as we talk about these wide receivers, there will be one there, Jim Nagy, with a heavy heart suiting up in Mobile, and that's Jack Bash.
Yeah, Red, I'd be remiss not to start by saying everyone here in Mobile is praying for Jack and his family, and we're actually going to do something special for him. We're going to do helmet stickers to, commemorate his brother. But, Jack, the player, is really a guy that came off the radar for us this past year. Probably is the biggest riser of anyone at the wide receiver position for us. This guy had 50 more catches and almost 900 more yards this year for TCU. But he's not really a one-year wonder. You go back in his play history, this guy played a lot when he was at LSU. So what I love about him, he's 6'1.5", 220 pounds, and his acceleration off the line of scrimmage, right? Like, I don't know what the top end speed's going to be, but this guy gets to top end fast, and he's big, he's physical, he'll block. Like, I think teams are going to love this guy, what he's all about. I mean, he's a good receiver, yes, but he's a football player. So everyone's looking for the next Puka Nacua. That's kind of been the thing the last couple of years. Like, I see some stuff. I see some of the same stuff that made Puka a great player in Jack Bash.
Yeah, and it was Jack's brother Tiger, who was one of the unfortunate victims in the tragedy in New Orleans on New Year's Day. We're certainly keeping his family in our thoughts. DJ, you want to get to another receiver for us here amongst this talented group?
Yeah, look, Iowa State had a pair of talented receivers. I'm excited to see them both there in Mobile, but I'm going to go with Jalen Noel as my pick for someone in one-on-ones that's going to pop. We showed those highlights of Ladd McConkey and what a nightmare he was to cover. Inside the slot, the quickness at the line of scrimmage, at the top of routes, Jalen Noel is excellent. And just because I've got two former scouts here with me, I like to go in the Wayback Machine with my comp. He gave me some Eddie Royal vibes when I watched him. So he's a really good player. Look forward to seeing him there.
Hey, look, DJ, we can never get enough good players that are making their way to Mobile and eventually make their way into the league. So how about Tez Johnson, going back to Alabama, being able to play in front of some of the home folks? But this is someone who is really, really productive. Over 300 catches in his career, first at Troy, then at Oregon. And then, look, you talk about someone who has 28 touchdowns, 10 each in the past 2 years at Oregon. He is someone that is of interest because we love craftsmen, outstanding route runners. He certainly has some talent that you want to harness at the next level.
I'm not sure we're going to hear a more common comp than Tank Dell for Tez Johnson in this draft cycle. Certainly plenty to get into with that comparison. Another one that I was intrigued by was Ty Felton, wide receiver at Maryland, who really popped onto the scene second half of the 2023 season. And, coaches there, Mike Loxley and Maryland State, he came in to College Park with a knee injury, and once he recovered from that and got his confidence back, it really allowed that explosiveness to take hold and start to show up again on tape, and he was a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten this season. Let's show you some of the tight ends.
Whoa, hold on.
Whoa.
I know Nagy is turned into a marketing genius, and if you follow the Senior Bowl on all socials, it's off the charts what they do.
Of course.
Here's my free of charge, free advice from the Move the Six marketing department. A most valuable Jalen this week, because I think there are 94 Jalens in this game. That needs to be a trophy, and that needs to be handed out by the end of the week.
Got it. Nags, get the trophy makers down in Mobile on that one, in addition to all the great practice Player of the Week awards that you end up handing out. All right, let's get to the tight ends here. This is an intriguing group. Terrence Ferguson is one that has certainly caught my eye here. A stellar career in Eugene, one that's recognized by his defensive teammates who call him crafty and a challenge to your mental acuity because he knows how to get you in a certain technique so that he can take advantage and win. Plenty of big-time playmakers, including Harold Fannin Jr. was a record setter at the position down at Bowling Green and had a fun invite acceptance from Jim and the crew.
I think you know why I'm standing up here. I usually do this for seniors. Well, it was pretty cool last year. The NFL is letting us bring underclassmen in the Senior Bowl now for the second year, and this is a group thing, man. I know it. You know, it's not just one individual, but you guys know there's a special guy on this team that's had a special year. So let's bring him up. Harold Fannin, where are you, man?
I want to thank Jim for the opportunity. I want to thank Coach Bear and Coach Les for always pushing me, making me go hard. I want to thank you guys. Couldn't have done it without y'all, man.
Big congrats to Harold Fannin Jr., DJ, a guy I know you're studying on tape.
Yeah, someone I think he just caught 3 more passes while you were doing that video there. I mean, the production's off the charts. You see the numbers at the bottom of the screen. Look, I don't love Hall of Fame comps because it makes you look like an idiot. But he just movement-wise, he's not as big, but he gave me like an Antonio Gates vibe of just kind of the movement. It's kind of like that subtle where you're like, I don't know if he's fast, but he sure is faster than everybody else is trying to catch him. And that included a 65-yarder against Texas A&M. He's just a really, really smooth mover who can make things happen after the catch.
Yeah, if we're staying at tight end, I'm going to go to another guy. Fred talk about Hall of Fame comps. I'm not comping you on a Hall of Famer, but he's the son of a Hall of Famer, Jason Taylor, the great Miami Dolphins defensive end who was part of our Senior Bowl 75th anniversary team last year. His son, Mason Taylor, he's leaving LSU as the all-time leading tight end guy in receptions and yards. And I'll take you back to last year's Pro Day. Right, it was Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. To me, this guy stole the show. I mean, because they didn't use him in a lot of varied routes 2 years ago. And to see him run a full NFL route tree during that workout, I was blown away. And so this guy, I think Mason Taylor's got a chance to be the first tight end taken in this draft. And you're not hearing a lot of that right now. I think you're going to hear a lot more of it as we lead up to April.
That's the opportunity that these guys get by going down to Mobile and putting their skills on display at the Senior Bowl. Much more to come now that the receivers are in the books. And it's not just, wide receiver DB one-on-ones that we love. It is also those offensive linemen and the big guys on the defensive front going at it one-on-one. We'll get to see some of the guys who will be in that drill when we come back with our offensive lineman reveal.
Now we have another opportunity for a Bulldog player to play in the Senior Bowl. Carson Vincent.
I just want to say first, I want to thank God. Without God, I'll be nothing. And I really want to thank y'all boys, man. Y'all hold me down, man. We've been through a lot, but we all did it together. So I love y'all. Appreciate y'all.
I'm so proud of you, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it, Dad. I love you, Dad.
Man, what a special moment. Dad on the phone crying. John Stallworth, Alabama A&M alum, Senior Bowl alum, and Steelers great, giving Carson Vincent the invite, which he accepted, and coming in from the HBCU ranks. All right, offensive linemen as we look here for the Senior Bowl. Look at Connerly and Cornelius. The bookend tackles for the Ducks are there. Trio of LSU Tigers making the short drive to Mobile for Baton Rouge, Dellinger, Frazier, and Jones. How about Jonah Monheim from USC? Could have gone to the league last year after playing most of his career as a tackle. Instead, makes the move to center, and it's paid off. Lincoln Riley called him the linchpin of the Trojans' offensive line. Gray Zabel grew up in Mound City, South Dakota, population 70, as in 7-0 on the family farm. Small town kid, big time player. Stayed at North Dakota State because he said family and friends were more important than NIL money. He's a major in agriculture and a minor in agribusiness, which I'm told DJ also has in his repertoire from App State. Is that right, DJ?
Very similar degrees. Very similar, yeah. You said agriculture because when I watched him, I thought it was aggravated. I didn't know that was his major, but that makes sense. Can I watch some tape on this guy and talk about him? Gray Zabel. When you go to the Senior Bowl, if you watch with us each and every year, you know there's going to be a lineman who's going to end up ticking off the defensive lineman because he's such a nasty finisher and how aggressive he is. Gray Zabel's my selection to be that guy this year. You watch him in the run game, he moves people, he finishes people. In pass protection, he's really strong and firm. Now, I want to see him against some elite edge rushers. How does he move around? How does he redirect? I think he's going to be just fine there, but one I'll definitely have my eyes on. He is he might have a degree in agriculture, but he's got a master's in aggravated.
Well, DJ, there's another guy down here that I think is going to really get after people, and that's Big Jonah Savinea from Arizona. You know, we had Jordan Morgan, his former teammate in the Senior Bowl last year, winning the first round to the Green Bay Packers. And Big Jonah, you talk about a guy that can recreate the line of scrimmage. It's this guy. This is a massive, bouncy player, man, and he's played right tackle mostly. We're going to kick him inside and let him play some guard during the week. To me, this is a guy that has Pro Bowl type ability. And I think he's going to be in that mix for one of the first offensive linemen taken in this draft.
You know, I love when you talk about interior players and how guys can have an opportunity to really show and prove, but I also love when small school guys get a chance. And so Jackson Slater is a guy that I have my eye on. Coming from Sac State, we understand how we've seen so many people leverage this game and use it as an opportunity to really enhance their draft status. 44 starts, can play either side at guard. I just love what he's going to have an opportunity to do, show and prove that he can play with the big boys. If he does it, it's certainly going to enhance his conversation in the draft room.
All right, guys, bit of a family connection here for me as I talk about Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. So my dad, who also doubles as the medical coordinator for the Senior Bowl, taped Ozzie's dad's ankles, Steve Trapillo, when both were with the New Orleans Saints. So we got a little bit of a connection there. Ozzie's dad, Steve, though, you know, unfortunately and unexpectedly passed away when Ozzie was 2 years old. But it was clear the family business was in his blood. Followed dad footsteps at Boston College, and now will do the same in the NFL. Ozzie, I look forward to meeting him and look forward to chatting with him about his family lineage. It's really cool to see that story make its way to the NFL now. All right, guys, so we've done the offensive lineman. Now time to get the other side of the line of scrimmage. We'll bring the defensive linemen into view, edge rushers and defensive tackles when we come back right here on the Move the Sticks and Senior Bowl Roster Reveal Show. Here in Los Angeles, we're all just heartbroken by the devastation and destruction from the raging wildfires across the greater LA region. Help the American Red Cross respond to and help people recover from these disasters. You can donate today to support relief efforts by going to redcross.org/NFL. Getting back to the roster reveal here for the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. We're going to talk about some of the defensive linemen now. The Hendricks Award winner, given to the nation's best defensive end, stands out among a talented group of edge rushers. Talking about Boston College's Donovan Ezuraku, 30 career sacks at BC, second only to Matthias Kiwanuka in school history. Oluwafemi Oladejo is a great story of selflessness, bringing both individual and unit success. He was a linebacker by trade until a few weeks into this season, then made the move to edge rusher and has excelled so much he gets the Senior Bowl invite as an edge rusher. So, guys, talking about edge rushers here, we certainly got a bunch of them that are going to wreak some havoc out there on the field in Mobile. Jim Nagy, what stands out to you, my friend?
Well, I'll start at my alma mater in Josiah Stewart. And when you say that name, the word violent just comes to mind. Take you back a couple years, 3 or 4 years ago now. Coastal Carolina was playing a game here in Mobile against South Alabama, and I was out there to see Isaiah Likely, the great Baltimore Ravens tight end now. And one of the coaches, they're like, you're going to be coming after this guy in a few years. That was Josiah's true freshman season, 12 and a half sacks in the Sun Belt. Fast forward, now he's at Michigan, and he's not just a pass rusher, guys. Like, when you see this guy take on pullers, he buckles people. Really fun guy to watch, high effort player, explosive player. He's a guy that I think is really going to tear people up in the one-on-one stuff.
You know, Jim, we love explosive players when we're looking at pass rushers. And Mike Green from Marshall is someone that really stands out to me. When you dig in his background and you see that he was a decorated wrestling participant in high school. And then he goes to Virginia and makes his way to Marshall and then has terrific production his final season. 17 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, a guy that has that first step quickness and burst that you like. We always talk about in college, sack production translates really well to the NFL. We'll have an opportunity to see if Mike Green can translate some of that superior sack artistry into big-time production at the next level.
Well, you guys have already discussed two of my favorite players that are going to be at the Senior Bowl. I think it's the best position group. I think it's the star of the show is going to be this defensive line, including Landon Jackson, who is someone when you watch him, first of all, he looks enormous. He's almost 6'6". He's near 280 pounds. He's long. He's rangy. Jim talked about that violence with Josiah Stewart. You see the same type of violence just in a little bit bigger and longer package here from Landon Jackson. The numbers on the screen do not do justice to how impressive his tape is, and he's going to be a nightmare when we get to these one-on-ones in Mobile.
Yeah, another guy who kind of fits the physicality and size kind of frame piece of the puzzle is Ty Robinson from Nebraska. In fact, so much of that frame feels like it has some inside-outside situational scheme versatility there, depending on where he ends up in the league. But you want to watch some tape on him, go watch that Colorado game you're seeing on your screen. He was a runaway freight train coming down the tracks, a foundational player in Matt Rule's 2 years there for the Huskers, getting them back to bowl eligibility this season. Okay, so let's switch now from the edge rushers to the interior defensive linemen here. Hot name among scouts this year that I talked to in my travels throughout the Big Ten. Yaya Black from Iowa said he got whooped by Tyler Linderbaum in practice every day when he was a freshman. Helped him become the player he is, now a vocal leader for the Hawkeyes this season. Cameron Jackson from Florida made an effort to trim some weight this season to play more snaps faster this year. Wanted to put that on tape, as well as his improved interior pass rush, and he'll have another opportunity to showcase that improvement down in Mobile. Jim Nagy, take a look at that defensive tackle group for us.
Yeah, I'll start with Omar Norman Lott at Tennessee. Now, he's the guy, this happens every year. We announce players accepting their invites, and inevitably my phone will start, blowing up from NFL scouts, and that happened with Omar Norman Lott. We all saw what the Senior Bowl did last year for Braden Fisk, right? I mean, so athletic. Guys couldn't even get a hand on him in the pass rush stuff. And Omar Norman Lott has a chance to be that guy this year. 9.5 sacks over the last 2 years. He wins right away with that initial get off. Really athletic once he gets into the backfield. So teams looking for a Fisk type player, and they should be, because Fisk had 8.5 sacks this year as a rookie. Omar Norman Lott fills that role.
Yeah, you talk about some traits with him as well, and that leads me right to Shamar Turner. You see the numbers, 2 sacks, and you're going to roll your eyes and say, well, okay, was this guy just an edge setter? Look, the production might not be there, but the disruption is definitely on the tape. I wrote down juicy and underlined it about 4 times when I was going through his tape. He is explosive. He can jack guys back with big-time power. He can play on the edge. He can play inside if you want him to. He's a real versatile. Just look at him. I mean, there will be nobody that looks better getting off that Senior Bowl bus, short of the trainer of the said All-Star game. But that is it. Nobody else beside Dean Kleichman will look that good on that field.
DJ, just to follow up on that, this is another guy that there's a lot of people in the league think this guy has a chance to be a first-round draft pick. And you talk about the traits and the tools. For 290 or 295 pounds, when you watch this guy, he moves like he's 260 or 265. So, it really belies the size this movement does. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get Shamar here.
We'll have the Jalen Trophy. We'll also need the Texas A&M Shamar Trophy, obviously, with Shamar Stewart also in the game. I think Jim's scouts spent the entire season in College Station, bringing the entire A&M defensive line to Mobile this year. Excited for it. Okay, when we come back here, gonna stay on the defensive side of the ball, get to the DBs, the corners and safeties looking to make a name for themselves on the next level in front of NFL evaluators. They are under the microscope when we return. All right, the 2025 Senior Bowl roster reveal show continues on the defensive side of the ball, looking at the linebackers. You want to talk about a guy with the mental makeup, leadership, and functional ability to be the catalyst for your defense on the second level? Look no further than Oregon's Jeffrey Bossa, a guy who made it go for the Ducks on that side of the ball. I mentioned earlier with Femi Oladejo at UCLA, a selfless move to edge actually allowed Carson Schlesinger to get on the field as a starting linebacker and became a rising star at the position nationwide. Butkus Award finalist finalist after playing about 9 games at the position. Incredibly instinctual player with some big-time production in a limited time frame. Jim Nagy, let's look at this linebacker group.
Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, guys. This is a guy that I think the league right now is higher on than the media. I think the media will catch up on this guy. 2 things, speed and aggression. This guy plays with an edge. He covers a ton of ground. He's super physical. And I love the makeup of the guy, right? So when he was at Charlotte, he's a family man. He's got a wife and a child. He did DoorDash after games to make extra money because they didn't have the NIL funds that they did in South Carolina. And then just checking in with his agent this week, he's a guy he's not going off to one of these fancy training places. This guy is staying in Columbia, South Carolina, and just getting all his work done there at the school. So those are some of the little things that NFL scouts are going to love about this guy. And you see that makeup come out on the tape. I mean, this guy just flies around and plays his butt off.
I think Dan Campbell just took a couple of notes. I think Brad Holmes just took a couple of notes there.
Well, we need to know what his rating is. I need to know what his delivery rating is before you draft him. I mean, let's do some homework on this.
Yeah, that's right. 5-star without question on that front. Okay, let's move to the cornerbacks here, fellas. And look, a bit of a roller coaster of a career for Tommy Hill out of Nebraska, but really excelled, got his confidence back once Matt Rule took over there for the Cornhuskers, reestablished himself as a top-flight corner at a big pick 6 off Shedeur Sanders in the Huskers' emotional win over Colorado. Hey, a converted wide receiver and special teams ace turned top-flight corner Darian Porter from Iowa State will be a fun one to watch in one-on-ones. Porter, whose defensive coordinator John Haycock said has an unlimited ceiling. A little young in the position, but man, some serious upside there. Can't wait to watch him get on the field and try to D-up some of these wide receivers who we've been talking about already in this Senior Bowl roster reveal show. Let's talk, though, DJ, a little bit about a corner that's kind of caught your eye.
Yeah, Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, long, explosive, rangy, athletic corner who they'll use in a variety of techniques. You'll see him get up and press, which I love him up there. He's real physical at the line of scrimmage. From off coverage, he'll just kind of squat on routes because he trusts his deep speed. If you're going to get to him, he can flip and turn and recover in a heartbeat. Not a ton of ball production this year, but someone who I think is going to show out very well when we get into a competitive atmosphere, those one-on-ones, just because how fluid and smooth he is.
Yeah, DJ, I mean, Max Harrison really popped for us last year when we were watching Drew Phillips tape, the great rookie for the New York Giants. But I'll stick with another big, long, physical press corner, and that's Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State. This guy's got position versatility. He plays big at the catch point. Like I said, he's good in press, really competitive. So he's being coached right now by Patrick Surtain at Florida State, Senior Bowl Hall of Famer that we put in our Hall of Fame a couple of summers ago. Rhett, you did that announcement.
Better believe it.
When you talk to Pat, I mean, he just loves this guy as a competitor, right? And so that's why I'm excited to see him on our practice field. Just the level of competes that he's going to bring to this game, and again, really a versatile player, smart player. They moved him around a lot, so again, he's got position versatility, but outside as a press man guy, I think that's where he's going to excel.
Okay, so from the cornerbacks, we'll move to the safeties heading down to Mobile as part of this year's class. We'll start with Tulane Green Wave, thrived in year 1 under John Sumrall, brought Caleb Ransaw with him from Troy, who Sumrall says is a 200-pound kid with a major DB skill set who can cover an outside receiver or work inside. That versatility often popular down in the practice week at the Senior Bowl. Hunter Wohler is always searching for a heat signature, and he usually finds one and arrives with bad intentions. Heartbeat of a Wisconsin defense despite some turbulent times the last couple of years in Madison. Hey, Bucky, how about another name that stands out to you amongst that group?
Okay, look, I'm guilty as charged because sometimes you're not supposed to scout the helmet, but I'm scouting the helmet when it comes to Iowa DBs. They've been so successful putting guys into the league that Sebastian Castro is the guy that I have my eye on. When you look at what he's able to do, a little bit of the versatility, we see sack production, we see the ball production in terms of interceptions, but it's the awareness and the overall IQ that he brings to the field. When you look at how successful Iowa safeties in particular have had in transition from college to pro, I'm just a believer that he is going to have a similar path to the National Football League. Look for him to be someone that stands out in practices and probably makes a play or two in the game when he gets a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in that same conference, Buck. I'm going to go to Ohio State with one big game yet to play. Lathan Ransom, It's just been a steady Eddie. You watch him, he's consistent. He's an excellent open field tackler. I don't think he's going to wow with the testing, but what you're going to see is someone, as you're looking at the highlights, who can poke the ball away. He's instinctive. He's smart. He can be the traffic cop and can play high as well as low. So I love the sum of his parts as it all comes together.
Yeah, ear-to-ear grin from Ohio State safeties coach Matt Guerrieri when I was asking him about Lathan Ransom. Said we've literally asked him to do everything. You want to put him back as the deep safety. You want to drop him down and try to be a more physical player in the run game if you need it. He can do it. He's a guy that can cover some tight ends and just a guy with a great head on his shoulders, understands the opportunities in front of him and will take advantage. So really excited to see teams kind of fall in love with the player in person that Lathan Ransom is. Certainly came back from a big-time injury to have a terrific career at Ohio State. Okay, when we come back, we've given you the offense. We've given you some defense. We've got to give you some specialists and some final thoughts on this 2025 roster that Jim and his staff have expertly put together for us when we come back.
I was just excited at the opportunity because I'd seen the Senior Bowl numerous times. I was excited to go and compete against the other quarterbacks and DBs and 7-on-7 and 1-on-1s and just kind of see what the next level was going to look like from that lens. I was just excited to have a chance to play in front of NFL scouts, GMs, owners, and practice down on the field. Being around that. In that environment, having NFL coaches coach you throughout the week. So really just, I thought it was a great opportunity to continue to develop and improve my game.
Love that mentality from Carson Palmer. Went from Heisman Trophy to Mobile to #1 overall pick of the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, let's get to some of the specialists that we're going to see as well. We got some blue blood brands there, Jim Nagy, and I know you got some blue chippers that you like out of this group.
Well, the two punters, Burnip and Crawshaw, both Aussies. So we love our Aussie punters here. And then the name that sticks out, Caden Davis from Ole Miss. If you talk to special teams coaches around the NFL with this new kickoff rule, some of these guys just want an automatic touchback a lot of the time. And that is Caden Davis. This dude's hang times on kickoffs are over 5 seconds, which most scouts don't like to pull out the stopwatch and do that kind of stuff. But a 5-second hang time on a kick is ridiculous. So that's why we added Caden, because special team coaches are going to love this guy.
Yeah, DJ, you got obviously still got the stopwatch ready, right?
I'm working on touch to toe with punters right now, so I'll get back to the kickers in just a little bit.
Final thoughts, though, on what sure sets up to be an incredible week here in Mobile, Deej.
Yeah, I'm fired up. Jim's done a wonderful job with his staff putting together this roster, and I think it's going to be as competitive as we've ever seen down there. And each and every year, last year 10 first-rounders, I think you'll see even more out of this group. It is the best week of the year.
Yeah, it is the best week of the year because you get to see real competition. As scouts, we love to see best on best. We get a chance to see all of these guys go against the best at other positions. I love that. That's why it's such an exciting week.
I'd just like to end with some thank yous. Thank you guys for the show. Thanks to our staff for putting in all the time on the road this fall and scouting these players. And then the NFL teams for helping out with our process. It's always huge. And guys, I just want everyone to know that we're all praying for you in Mobile, everyone in LA. Praying for you guys.
Man, that's awesome, Jim. Always great to spend some time with you. Appreciate your kind thoughts for all of us and all that are dealing with what's been a really rough week here in Los Angeles. Excited to get down to Mobile, though, where you'll have Senior Bowl practices for you all day long, starting at 3 o'clock. And then we get the Insiders at 7. Senior Bowl recap show comes at 8. And then on game day, the NFL Game Day kickoff pregame show starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with the main event shortly there to follow at 2:30. We'll wrap it up with NFL Game Day Final at 5:30. That's going to do it for us. For Jim Nagy, Bucky Brooks, Daniel Jeremiah, and our great production crew, I'm Rhett Lewis. Thanks for being with us. We'll catch you next time here on Move the Sticks.